All right, you ready to call this meeting to order? Okay, I'm gonna defer to Greg. You all have apparently did a survey and stuff on some items, in my understanding. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So I wasn't here when you all had apparently done the study to look at potentially going to the 20 years. So I don't even know how it resolved and how it played out. I know you all got the information and had looked at it. So when I was looking through it, and I'll be honest with you, some of it I don't understand, but it didn't look like some of the options even changed the unfunded liability, the funded ratio significantly, if at all. So I was wondering if there was something that we had decided on and looked at it or not. And I know the study's at least a couple years old. So I know it had been brought up by the FOP as far as, you know, is there something we can still potentially look at as far as putting our people back on the 20 or changing the age or looking at COLAs or all of that. So that's what we wanted to bring up to this committee as far as the option of doing another actuarial study and then following through to see if this is even something we can fiscally, financially do. So I didn't know what y'all's thoughts were as far as what happened to it last time.
Nothing.
It kind of just died because COLAs were a big hang-up and they are super expensive.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So,
no, I know COLAs are. Well, but the option was, though, like any one of those, was it not? Because it wasn't a package deal, was it?
I think we were trying to make it kind of a package deal to kind of get a little bit something for everybody, and it just kind of fell apart.
Yeah, I think they were run as packages, weren't they?
Yeah, because didn't we run a group?
Well, they
Didn't
were
we
run as,
something
it looks like they were all run as individuals, but then,
Well, no, we ran something together as well.
Well, we ran 5 different scenarios of the age and retirement thing.
yeah, with the multiplier change, the years, and then I saw a COLA in there as well, but that,
If
Yeah,
I remember
yeah.
correctly, I think it was changing one to finance another type of situation.
you know,
Changing disability to finance a
Yeah, there
COLA
wasn't a
or
con-
oh,
a.
yeah, yeah.
There wasn't a
Years
combination.
And I have a question about the disability. So if, say somebody comes to us for disability and we deny them, are they able to go back to work on the job?
It's not our call.
Not unless they get their doctors to,
So what happens if they come to us for disability,
okay,
we deny them?
okay?
So are police or fire gonna let them come back online?
Not until they get a release from their doctor.
I mean, that's not our,
I agree, but I'm curious
Yeah,
what's.
Right.
You know,
we've had somebody that got denied and he came back on, I mean, he continues to work.
Okay.
Yes, yeah, I mean, it's up to the individual, but basically, as you know, that, you know, that right now you have 2 years, it used to be 1 year to get back, you know, if you get an injury, you know, and you've got 2 years to come back. If at the end of that 2 years, they get a letter from personnel that tells them that, you know, they either need to come back to work, they basically can resign, or they can apply for a disability. Well, obviously, most everybody does the disability. And the issue is, you know, like she said, you know, we've had one that got denied and he came back to work. I mean, it's entirely falls back on them. It's not the board.
No, it's not, it's definitely not ours, but I'm more kinda curious, like, the administrations, are they gonna let them come back with a disability
It
rate?
should be noted that they only have 1 year, and they have the option to get an extension.
Okay.
And they do, a lot of times, if their doctor says they're at MMI, then the department's not wanting them back.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
but obviously, I guess if the department decides or the doctor comes back and says they're not at MMI anymore, then they could come back to work. But, I mean, we deal with that a lot. The department calls and says they're at MMI, their work status says they are not gonna be able to be better. They're moving on through the process through disability. So
So technically, if we deny them, they have an MMI, right?
then they couldn't
So
go back to work
technically, they can't go back to work.
unless a doctor says they could and the department accepts it.
Or,
At that
But
point,
they
it would
only
not
get
be up
two
to
doctors,
us.
or,
right?
right, yeah, or they can apply for a non-op after
Yes.
5 years.
Yeah.
Which, that, we've had some do
We've
that.
had,
Yeah,
yeah, we've
I've
had
seen
one
that.
do that more recently.
Mhm. So, okay, that answer your question? Okay. Rick?
So, I mean, I guess I'm still trying to figure out what we did within what you all think as a collective group as far as moving forward and take a look at the feasibility of it. Because if it doesn't affect the funded liability, if there's any way that we can get at least some kind of COLAs for, I do like the fact of the COLAs. I know they're the most expensive. I get it. That's detrimental. But we've all seen what inflation is. I know Rock brings it up every time talking about the inflation. I mean, we did a comparison of if you had retired 10 years ago, how far you'd be behind right now just because of those 3 bad years of cost of living. And obviously, we can offset cost of living those that are still working because we can increase our wages, which is exactly what happened. So now we're still back with the same purchasing power, but retirees are not. So what we're wanting to do, though, as far as the police side, is we are interested in doing another study, since this one's going to be old, into looking at what if we change the time parameters, age parameters, and, of course, COLAs, and what a combination of those would look like.
So are you just wanting to do your study on your all survey that you conducted with your members?
Well, no, that's where this, I mean, obviously the subcommittee here would make the decision, because those were thrown together as ideas that we had as far as, okay, a 20 versus the 25, going to 45 instead of 50. I mean, I would be open to whatever we all think as a collective whole is our two sides, police and fire, would be interested in. Because unfortunately, the survey that was sent out by the FOP, it wasn't able to bear it down as far as what do you prefer if you had to choose versus a 20-year pension or going to a 2.5% multiplier, which one would you prefer, one or the other? So it was just basically, would you like the idea of a 20 or a 2.5 or COLAs? And of course, who's going to say no to that? Because they're all beneficial, whether you get one, all, or none.
What were the results of the 20 versus the 2.5%?
Well, so it wasn't broken down at all.
Okay.
It was, do you propose at least looking at these changes? And that's where I would have liked to have known what specifically they value the most, because it doesn't affect a lot of us, because we're already on the 20. So it's not going to affect us. But those people that are on the 25 with the 2.25, what do they value most? Being able to go earlier or having the greater multiplier? I'd rather have the multiplier. I think the majority of them wanted the years. I don't know why. I would prefer the multiplier. I would prefer, again, COLAs, because that takes care of everybody. Retirees now, employees in the future. But I get it. I know how it would crush the funded liability, potentially. So
You'd have to make drastic changes to offset any COLA.
I
I think like back of the envelope math is like $1 million per percent increase in a COLA.
I will speak to, I'm not on the committee, obviously, but have been here through a lot of this. I think for me, it's always goal oriented, right? Like, what is the ultimate goal here? I mean, is it just to make changes? Is it not, like, what is it? If it is to, hey, let's look at getting COLAs and then we got to adjust things accordingly, then that's your goal. If the goal is to affect recruitment, then that's your goal. If it's to affect retention, which is, in my opinion, probably just as important, if not more important than recruitment, we have to set a goal. I mean, it's like having a mission statement or something. I mean,
It's all
sounds
three of those.
cliche, right? Huh?
It's all three of those.
Yeah, kind of what
Right,
started
yeah.
this conversation is like, the changes have been about 10 years ago. So it was kind of like, well, it's been 10 years. Let's see, is this working? Do we need to change anything? And then we came up with some ideas, but it's just been like stagnant since then. Like we haven't come to a consensus as a subcommittee.
well, that's what I'm asking. I think the goal, and that's what I wanted to get from the survey that didn't really exactly get it, but I think the goal is keeping the funded, number one, obviously, but number two, doing what the people that the fund is there to serve want. That includes retirees and current employees. And if they're wanting the 20 and it doesn't adversely affect the pension, it looked like it only changed it 1% or 2% in funded liability.
It actually probably decrease the unfunded liability, did it not? I mean, in some regard, but it's nominal amount.
Let me interject. I've been having a bunch of phone calls from firefighters. So I have been going to lots of fire stations
I was going to ask if it was before or after you started going to all the firehouses, but go on.
before,
Okay.
okay? That's why I did it,
Oh,
okay? Because there was all these people about rumors and didn't have a full understanding of the pension. I mean, there were some that thought that after 25 years, that their 2 1/4 doesn't count and stuff like that, You max out at 25 years. There was all kinds of different ideas or that were incorrect. So, you know, I basically tried to just explain what they thought we were gonna make changes. No, we're just looking at things at this point. And the big thing that I found from most of from the firefighters, and I have gone to at least one shift from every station except 3. I like 3 that I have not gone to. And they seem to be more in favor of, instead of 20 in and 20 out, of the 2.5 instead of 2 1/4. Because realistically, and I agree with them on this, is, I mean, how many people are going to leave at 20 years? That's 50%,
A lot.
or 45.
Please.
And
Oh, please.
I disagree with you, but anyway,
I think it's accurate.
you know, so,
A lot of police.
the thing is that, you know, and the other thing is that they have they obviously have some animosity toward this guy before 2013 is making, you know, gonna get 2.5, and I'm gonna get 2 1/4, doing the same job, you know? So,
And putting in the same.
you know, so, you know, but again, you know, that seems to be what I was, the majority that I've talked to.
If you had to speak for the firemen, what do you think their preference would be? A 20, or if they had to choose between a 20 or the multiplier?
I think we have a somewhat inconclusive survey as of late, and it gathered information from about half the people we sent it out to. It does seem to be there's a slight favor, like Tommy said, to the 2.5% multiplier, but it's a close. In my opinion, it's so close that we need to narrow the field of surveying down and try to get more correspondence. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Okay. That's just my take on it. You know, I think we could get into something. Obviously, we're here with a group of people, you know, FOP, union, whatever. Like, we've all kind of had this synergy together to understand what it is our membership wants and what could be doable if we were doing anything, right? And I think there's maybe a hybrid model we can work from there, you know? I mean, is there a world where you could get out of here for, call it a decreased annuity for after 20 years, and, you know, still set the minimum age a bit high, you know? Or is it, and then have an additional multiplier after that, you know? Obviously, you know, where I stand, I've been here for a while, but the drop plan was something that we mentioned and we were advocating for, and that seemed to be a bipartisan, not a bipartisan thing here. It was just kind of us talking about it, and to Tommy's point, how all these firemen are reaching out to him. There were police officers who emailed me that said, these cops that are here, and this is even before I think both of your time, they're not speaking on what we want. Like, we like the idea of a drop plan, don't let them speak for us. And I was like, okay, and that was it, you know. So I think there's some ideology there. I know, like, the drop plan's dead. You guys sent out something to your membership that, again, made it to us, obviously. And it was like, hey, the fire department's not willing to talk anything if it's not a drop plan, which is incorrect. I think it was a crock.
I like
never
drop
said
plan.
that. Huh?
I like it. I emailed somebody
Right,
because
yeah.
I want it.
Yeah, and maybe you did email me, but I had a couple, right? And so,
Oh, yeah, no, I've heard
yeah.
it. Yeah.
And so anyway, and that's fine, like, right? But that's not completely true either. We're not hung up on it. It's just, it's kind of like your comparison from having a 20-year guy and a 25-year guy in the same room. It's always about, like, what does he have? What does he have? And that's the way we feel looking at you guys and you having the rehires and things like that. So that's where we come from, our basis from this drop plan. So it's not completely true that we have to have a drop plan to discuss any of these changes. I want to clear the air on that because I saw that in your all's literature that you sent out. So
Yeah, drop plan is a completely separate beast.
right, and that's fine. I'm not here. I don't want to pull the string of the drop plan right now. I just want to make it clear that that's not. You know, we're receptive to hearing what you guys like or don't like too. So.
What do you think as far as police, the guys on the 25? What have you heard? Would they prefer
Well,
if they had to pick?
as a member of the guys of the 25, I certainly would be more in favor of the increased multiplier as opposed to a reduced service time. From a numbers perspective, because I'm not sure how many people are going to be able to take a 50% pay cut at year 20 anyway. Turns out that generally is the most expensive time to be alive, other than when you get old and in a retirement home. So I think there is probably probably some utility in drilling down a little bit and getting a more targeted number for the people who are just on the 25-year plan who it would affect, to figure out for sure who feels what, because it's going to depend on the person. If you're older and you start this job, you're going to want less years of service. If you're younger, you're going to want the increased multiplier. It all depends on the person. I think for most people, I can't say for most people because I don't know, but I'd say it's probably pretty split. You know, I've really felt like it's pretty split. A lot of people want 20 years. A lot of people want 2.5. Personally, you know, I want my time to matter just as much as somebody else's, whether or not I have to stay longer or not. I think that my time is worth just as much as yours or yours or yours. So, you know, I'm not sure if we actually have an accurate depiction of what our people want, at least the people who it would affect the most. And as far as the drop plan goes, I'm not against the drop plan either, just for the record. I'm not sure what the most latest details are, but, you know, that's certainly not, I'm
prefer
open
it.
to options. Always open for more options.
I hate our
So-
officer R program. I don't like it
Well,
at all.
and frankly, from my perspective, and I'm just one fellow, but I view the Officer R and the drop program as two totally different things.
Oh, yeah.
What is the officer, or is that the rehire?
Just the
Yes,
rehires,
the
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
They-
And there's no reason you can't have both coexisting.
Right,
No,
they just,
no.
it seems like a totally different thing. And for somebody to be a police officer for 20 years, not retire on a disability, leave, and still want to come back and still be willing to go back to the street with all the young kids, that's a very small niche population. We've got like 10 dudes doing it.
9.
It's
yeah.
about
Nine.
it's almost a $900,000 population. That's what it costs, you know. And those people are getting benefits from our pension, and then not paying 12%
Because
back
they've
in.
already paid in and they're outside.
And
the
we're also
system.
not getting the city's contribution on theirs.
Because they've retired. Just
Right.
like when you retire, we won't be getting your contribution.
But we don't get to come back.
But
to
we don't
work.
get to come back, yeah.
Yep,
I-
and we're 130 officers short,
Well,
I mean, that's
you know.
and I
that's
don't-
a-
We're not getting the benefit of that
I
either.
Yeah.
don't want to get super contentious, but, you know, the reason why we have an officer R program is because we went to Frankfurt and we lobbied for it, and it was approved by our chain of command, and, you know, feel free to do the same. I don't know the logistics of how you're organized versus how we're organized. I don't know your world, right? Just like you don't know our world. And I don't want to say there can't be a firefighter R program. I don't know if there can or not. I just think that the drop program and the rehire program are.
And I don't want this conversation to fall off the rails, but here's the point of contention. Is it can get there, right? And I'm the person who quickly gets there, so maybe I took 2 happy pills today. If it is costing that much money, where does that money come from? And it comes from some of it comes directly out of our pension fund. It's dollars not funneling back in, which creates a higher unfunded liability. And that is our gripe. Never once, not a single time, I've been here the longest except for Tommy and Rock, has it came to this pension board about the rehires, and it directly affected it. So it wasn't a judicious decision in my mind, right? Is it, you know, like making legislation that changed? I am sympathetic to the fact you need more officers. More officers for you, more protection for us. On an operational standpoint, I get down with that, right? Like I will never discredit that. I think the issue is that you have, in my understanding, and this is without doing a ton of reconnaissance, is that you have like $800-some thousand in rehires. Those people are coming back at a fairly sizable clip in terms of officer pay. It doesn't include lateral transfers. I don't think you guys will take somebody from Georgetown. So, you know, wouldn't that be, you know, if we could pay them less and get an officer on the street, and I get it, apples to apples, oranges to oranges. We couldn't take a fireman from somewhere else, expect them to fall in line with us. But to that point, there's also, you know, these clerk jobs, there's a lot of things out there, and we're like, whoa, like what is this, you know, we're seeing a lot of retirees, we're seeing a lot of other people, and they're coming back to this. I mean, I'm a part of a union, I'm not on the union e-board, I'm not a union guy, you know, but when somebody takes a benefit and then comes back for what is kind of stepping over, again, you look at the guy beside you, like, well, that guy, sure, he retired, but we're not getting that benefit that we would normally get. And so when Ms. Hensley looks at her unfunded liability and is like, wow, this is daunting, you know, we're not creating a better situation by having the rehires from a financial standpoint within within the pension, So again, I get it. Operationally, I'm sympathetic to that. I really am. We rely on you guys a lot, and likewise. But that's where one of our grips are in terms of that drop plan, right? Like, we think we could retain more firemen at a level, right? Like, this. Would you rather have the first year dude? I mean, this may not be, but would you rather have the first 16-month guy out on the street, or would you rather have the guy that has 20 years on, right? Like, one of them has an operational discipline that the other one doesn't. And that's what I feel like that's what we could have. That could be the retention piece to all of this, which could allow somebody to leave at 20 years. And that's why this whole thing got started with that drop plan and stuff. And that's where some of that point of contention came from. I mean, if you've got 10 officers that aren't paying in, 10, what is that, 80-some thousand, about 80,000 a person? 80,000 a person. We're getting the contributions, the 12% from them, we're not getting that anymore. Chief Weathers doesn't pay into the pension. I mean, we can go on down the list, it's like it's a pretty good sized number, and you extrapolate that over, however many years. I mean, it runs itself up.
They're not paying in because they already have paid in. And
Let's think about it. I
they're
mean, those
pulling out
9 people were
because
going to be retired out
they
anyway,
met
so they
their
were going to be
use
drawing the
service.
pension anyway. And if we were holding those 9 spots and not backfilling them, then it would be a negative effect because we wouldn't be. But we're still trying to fill all those spots anyway. So if those 9 people aren't here, we still have the same vacancies we've got. So that doesn't in any way adversely affect the pension. If we were holding those spots to not hire new people, to keep these people on, then that'd be bad business, but that's not what's happening. And they were gonna retire anyway.
If I could ask a question, do you know that you've asked the Rs and you've asked the clerks that are former cops, was their decision impacted by the ability to work in a clerk spot or an R spot as opposed to?
Clerk spots, now it's a little bit different. The only reason I can say that about the officer R's is because none of them retired to do it. They were already retired when they came back to do it. So they had already retired and moved
You
on.
conducted the research to say
No.
it didn't change. It was not going to change a member's behavior.
No, what I'm saying is the 9 that are our current ones had already retired and moved on. So I can say definitively they were going to retire regardless because we didn't have the program.
Because they
So the
did.
ones that came back, they just came back because they came back. But they didn't retire to do it. Now the clerks, and that you're probably right. I guarantee there's quite a few people that found a second job that they could go do, but they're not being the police. I mean, they're just taking reports over the phone. They're basically it is a civilian job.
And regardless, that's how the system is set up to work. They
And they're-
did
those-
their years of service.
they're only
they
paid like
paid in,
$19 an
and
hour,
now they're
too,
pulling
so-
out. That is the pension system.
But if
What-
I had the option to retire tomorrow and then come back out and still get to come run a saw and drag hose for topped out fireman pay, and I can have an annuity, I can have my insurance, and I can come back to work and do what I like doing, and make topped out fireman pay, that seems like a pretty good gig.
But none of those clerks do that. That's not what they make.
And that's
I mean, they're just answering phones and making like $19 an hour or something. I mean, they're just like regular civilian city employees. It's just those 9 that we're talking about that have done that are on the topped out pay and they're not putting into the pension.
And
But
that-
again, they were retired. I mean, they're going to be retired anyways.
that's why it's such a niche, because we have how many hundreds of retired officers. I don't know how many would be eligible, but we only have 10 dudes that came back, or 9 that came back and
9,
actually
right.
did it. Because we live in a world that you do your 20 or your 25, you come out the other side used up and you don't want to do a second more a lot of the time. There's a reason why, we're both represented here. We live in different worlds, right? I don't, even now, after however many years this has been on this board, 2, 3, whatever it is, I forget that the fire department's different, because my whole world for the past 12 years has been police, police, police. That's why you're here. That's the value of you being here, is because I don't understand. Just like the value of me being here is because sometimes you don't understand that we live in a different world.
We do.
And it's just, that's a lot of times people don't want to stay. We can't get people to stay 20, much less come back and work more.
Oh, I know that.
Because this isn't their favorite thing in the world to do. They can't wait to be out of here, because this job will chew you up and spit you out in a way that I don't know what the fire department does or not. I don't know. I don't live in your world, but I've got a feeling it don't. And that's just anecdotal.
I gotta hope that if we were to ever get back to fully staffed like we were, then we would do away with the officer
Oh,
R's.
yeah, that was,
In which case, so they're not
Correct.
holding a spot.
Personally,
But-
I don't like them.
Yeah, I don't like the
my pick.
program, so I mean.
Nobody
I'm-
asked me.
Yeah, I'm not
So-
arguing
Well,
for
that seems
it.
to be the consensus of police
yeah, well,
officers we talk about.
I think there's nobody here that likes it, but the trouble is, if we didn't have it, we would now be 140 short.
Yeah, and I'd rather pay them what they get paid to keep from losing to schools. I like the drop because my argument is that when somebody hits it, they want to get that pension and a full salary. That's what gets us bleeding. I mean, we're bleeding to the schools. The school police is getting all our people because of that. And if we offered a way that you could start drawing your pension, or however the drop was going to be set up,
Sure.
so you could do that and continue to work here, by all means, I'd rather keep them here, which is what the officer hour program kind of does. But
I was gonna say, like, that's what it does, right? Like you get your
Get a
pension check
pension and get a
and
check.
and your
That
city
sounds
check all at
good.
the same time, so.
but the thing, but nobody's
And don't have to pay your 12%.
and it sounds, it's exactly that.
You already
That
have.
sounds great, but nobody's doing that. I mean, people aren't falling over themselves. You know, I've got over 26 years, so I could easily do that and start drawing double, but there's no way in hell. I don't want to do the officer hour program.
Right, and
So, I mean, our people are not tripping over themselves to get into it.
and it doesn't help matters that out of all of our 1,300-ish retirees, that 48% are disabled, right? Which brings us back to a piece that we have an issue with, which are disabilities. And there's more than one way to skin that cat. You know, like it could be on an administrative level or it could be here, which is, I think, why we ran the surveys and stuff talking about scaling disabilities. So, I don't know, we can let this go, but that's where points of contention happen, I can tell you. I mean, I know that. We do come from two different worlds, but when we come in this room or in the board, down there in the chambers or whatever, it is 100% to protect that pension, you know? And if that looks like, hey, these people are costing the pension money, then, I mean, that's why we're gonna have.
But they're not, is the thing. They're not.
I would disagree that there's some way they're costing money.
We can talk later.
We can, but they are. I mean, it's, yeah.
I don't, they are. Okay, anyway, moving on. We'll agree to disagree.
So with that aside,
That's,
because yeah, I mean, I saw that in the PowerPoint presentation. The fire department was willing. I didn't know where that had come from. I wasn't here, so I'm definitely not trying to put anything in your all's mouths by no means. So, because I had no idea. So, and that's the reason I'm asking to start out what happened with this, so I can understand why nothing moved forward. And maybe it's just maybe there's something more to it that I didn't see, that y'all decided it was not a good financial move to even look at implementing any of this. And if that's the case, by all means, we can shut down and move on to something else. But if not, I would like, I mean, if the membership is interested in this, both sides of it, I'd be interested to know what the fire department specifically wants. If they're interested in one of these options, and if it's feasible, why not? Why not do it?
For which option are you talking about?
Well, not these old ones. Well, in any of them. I mean, and it could look like anything. But figuring out what the cost is going to be to go back to the 20. I don't think it's going to be a good recruiting tool anyways. I never did, because the majority of our people don't even know that they're on a pension when they get here, so I don't think that's what they got hired on, or that's what they came here for, the majority. But I think having a 20 or the 2.5% multiplier, that's what I would prefer, but it's not going to affect me either. So. But looking at, what do the members want, the guys that are still working, and then of course thinking about the COLAs for the guys that are retired, because that takes care of everybody at some point. And I think that's a value to at least look at what is a feasible way to maybe make the COLAs better. And I know I keep hearing about this 13th check. I don't even understand what that is or how it's proposed, or if that's an option on the
That
COLA
was
side of it.
something that the state brought it up originally a year or two ago. But after doing some more investigating about it, I think the 13th check would be not a good idea, because it's gonna really do some tax issues with the retarees, from what my understanding, my CPA says.
Okay.
It'd be
'Cause
like
that was an
a
intent.
gift, so instead of taxing it at, 15%, I'm gonna have to, tax it at, yeah.
Oh, like a capital gains
Yeah.
or.
Yeah, the idea of
better than
13th check
zero.
is basically you get another check.
Yeah.
At some point during the year.
Yeah, well, and that's what I assumed it was,
And
but
the hang up
why?
with
How-
that was, we wanted a timeline, right? Because it's kind of like kids, right? Like, I'm gonna give you a piece of candy, and then 5 minutes later, you're gonna come ask me for a piece of candy. So we wanted something in writing that said, it's every 2 years, 3 years, whatever it was, so.
But that was intended to offset the COLA,
Right.
correct?
Mhm.
Okay.
Greg,
Yes, sir.
I'm the one that brought this up twice. I stole it from the state, it's not my idea. I thought the 13th check would be, A, we can tell you exactly how much a 13th check is gonna cost, and B, it would be more palatable to the Irving County government, because as you said, cost of living adjustments are extremely expensive. With that said, it was put in subcommittee twice and nothing has happened in 2 years, so.
But it goes back.
Do you still think it's a good idea? 'Cause it sounds like-
As compared to the current COLA,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
compared to zero, yeah.
However, with that said, with a 13th check, it would be what, a 12.25, 12.5%? You're not gonna get that every year. It's gonna be a several year range of time if a 13th check is given. Never looked at the tax implications, don't care. I'm trying to do something for the retirees that are losing money every single month.
Mhm.
That's all I got.
Yeah, they're just expensive. You know, we spend $7.5 million every month in payroll going out to retirees. So a 13 check is $7.5 million this year.
But it's not compounding either.
Correct.
So that's the,
Well,
That is the
yeah.
beauty in it.
Yes.
It comes to what, 8 point some percent, 8.3%.
Yeah, if you did, I think
something
if you did it, we did some envelope math. If you did it like every, what was it, 2 years?
3 years.
It came out to like an 8% COLA.
Greg, I'll kind of summarize kind of what your question is, and the people that have been on this committee for a while just can jump in if I'm incorrect. But I think what they ran these scenarios to kind of get a ballpark of where it was, what it looked like. I think the issue is the unfunded liability, which is what the city has an issue with. And in that case, maybe questioning what our numbers even look like, maybe not trusting the actuary in general, and not paying off that unfunded liability over some time. And I think it was just a lot. There's a lot that needs to happen in order for all of those pieces to play a role. And I think that's kind of why it's like there's this battle of the unfunded liability, how much is this going to cost? Is it really not hurting the fund, or the unfunded liability, whatever? Like there are all these different scenarios of, is it really not hurting? If we don't trust the numbers, could it not be? Could it be? Are we just a lot of that? And there's no one willing to move on kind of those scenarios. I mean, it's
And some of it was, like, it's the disability. Like me personally, I have problems changing the disability because I've seen some of those people that are like 2 or 3%, like the smaller amounts, that really need it, right? Like they can't work for whatever reason. So that's my hang up is, I agree the majority, there are a lot of people, I don't want to say a lot, there are people that abuse the system and get a disability, right? But some of those people really need that, even though they're a small percentage. And that's the people I don't want to hurt.
oh, yeah, no, I agree with that. So I guess I'll ask Aaron then from the city side, so if you, and that makes sense, if you don't trust the numbers, that, because if I'm looking at these correctly, some of them don't impact the funded liability, very, very little. And if you don't believe them, well then, that would make an obvious reason why you wouldn't want to go to it, because definitely we don't want to enact something that then turns out the actuarial is wrong and it's devastating, we can't undo it at that point. What would make you more comfortable from the city finance standpoint in the actuarials being trusted?
I think we've struggled the last few years with what we've been presented in a number of different things we've asked them to look at. One of those was the ghost time calculation.
Yes.
And how that came back. It came back as this year's cost of purchase is quite a bit less than what things have been costing. Gut check wise, that doesn't make any sense to anyone sitting at the table. We went through a number of conversations, at least 3 that I can recall, where we sat down with them and asked, please explain this, please go over this. We don't like just the general, how is this possible in the economy? The gut check of it all does not make sense to us. Can you get us there? And I don't feel that anybody on the committee really felt confident in that. That was one scenario we looked at. When we looked at a couple of these scenarios, some of them also came back kind of gut check. That just doesn't necessarily make sense. I have gone back and looked at the calculations, which we've had the same actuary since 2013, just to be clear. I've gone back and looked at their projections of where we thought we would be at this, at this point versus where we are today. We are $120 million higher in our unfunded liability than where we even started. With higher assumed rate of returns, better outcomes than we've expected, more contributions from the members, more contributions from the employer, everything firing on all cylinders. Better than anything we could have hoped for, and we're still nowhere near where we should be at this point. Now, I understand things change. We could not have projected raises. We couldn't project mortality. We couldn't project all these things. There's a lot of mechanisms. And the last time Todd came in, he said, you know, it's like you've been paying interest on a house, and now you're going to work toward paying the principal. Except the principal on our house has gone up tremendously. So usually when you buy a house, your principal doesn't go up in the meantime, even if you're just paying off the interest. So the general concepts that we're being presented with don't necessarily make sense, which makes some of this not feel as warm and fuzzy as I would like to feel in these conversations. Now, that being said, I'm going to sit in this seat probably the least amount of time of anybody else. And this should be a relatively easy conversation for me. The city's perspective should be pay as little as possible, move forward. That is not my perspective, because my parents live off of this fund. And my sister and brother-in-law will also live off of this fund. So I have a vested interest in its success. That being said, it boils down to inputs and outputs for me. If you continue to add to the ocean, you're never going to be able to get the unfunded liability paid off. So that makes a lot of these decisions relatively simple in my mind. Because our ultimate responsibility is to provide for the KRS rules that we've been set forward. I didn't make the rules. I wasn't around. I was a child, quite frankly, when all of this went into place. But I inherited it, and I'm going to do the best I can with it while I'm here. We made some tough decisions, and since the 2022 experience study, we are kicking in, we the city, me as a representative of the city, is contributing an additional $17 million a year into this fund. That is not easy, considering we're not adding that much in revenue every year. That's a commitment, and that's a commitment that wasn't made haphazardly. That was a prioritized commitment. We're going to continue to work on that. But can't keep adding to the ocean indefinitely. So we need to figure out, do we trust the information that we're being given? Are we willing to continue to make changes that are going to add to the ocean, in my opinion? And I dare not speak for anyone else, because I want to make sure that my comments are only from me myself, but I would think it would terrify anybody in police that people could leave 5 years earlier. If you were looking at the vacancies that you all have, and you had the choice to leave 5 years earlier, what kind of operational deficiency you would be potentially subjecting the force to. I live here. I've got a vested interest in success and the safety of the police department, whether that's recruitment, retention, whatever that happens to be. But those are the key factors in consideration that I would be thinking about when looking at all of this. I can just speak for myself, can't speak for the mayor, can't speak for anybody else as the city. It's just a math equation to me, but those are my thoughts.
Appreciate it.
Aaron, when you
So-
say the city's contributing 17 million additional dollars per year, are you saying that's in addition to what you're required to pay or what the increase is requiring you to pay?
That's what it's been, that's how much we have added since we dropped the, rate of return assumption down to 7%. So from 22 to
So that's
now,
what you're required to pay, not an additional 17 million.
it's 17 more than it was in 22.
Right. So,
What he's asking though is the amount that you have to pay, are you adding on top of that
No.
to
No.
should pay the principal,
No.
or, that, I think this is his question though.
We set the rate every single year as a board.
Right, no,
So
no,
we
no,
have
no.
worked up to, it was 36.2%, we're at 50-something percent now.
And that's
So,
what we're paying, is that?
Yes,
Okay,
that's what
okay.
we're paying.
I think
Yeah.
what he was
But
asking was
that's
in
what it
addition
is
to
in
that, were you
dollars.
trying, no, I get that, yeah, I get that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think he was just asking,
yeah.
or
Is it
are we
over and
trying
above
to,
that?
yeah, because I mean, that'd be great if we could throw that at the principal and knock it
when-
down, but.
last time we met, we talked about whether or not us being 130 officers short was affecting that, and we agreed that it was. Do you have any idea to what extent?
I don't think it's nearly as much as you would think
Oh,
it is.
yeah, I have no idea.
Because we have compensated with a number of additional positions over in fire.
Right, 30, correct?
Maybe, I'm not sure. And the additional salaries have also compensated over the last several years.
And I get what you're saying about getting people out 5 years earlier, but at the same time, I'm kind of in a position too that if we can financially do it, and our people want to go at 20 instead of 25, I think spending 20 years looking at some of this stuff and seeing some of this crap, if they want to get out the door, I'd like to let them get out. If it doesn't, and again, I agree 100%, the number one is the fund. Make sure that it's healthy. And that's why I say, you know, I would like the option though to at least take a look at these and see if it's something palatable. And then when it comes back, if we don't trust it or we don't like it, nothing says we have to do it. Or if it's negative, you know, there's no loss. But if the membership, if that's what they're wanting, and it's something that is survivable and not going to be a negative impact, you know, why would we not? So that's kind of where I am. Because when I looked at the numbers, like I said, and I don't know a lot of this history, so yeah, I mean, that is scary to take it on and say, yeah, you know what, you keep giving us bad numbers. And I know a lot of this stuff is, I hate to use the word guessing, but a lot of it is, and we don't know what the, you know, the
Well,
mortality.
the actuary will tell you they're guessing.
And, yeah, I mean,
It is
and we
guessing.
all know
It's
that.
an
Educated guess, and they will
educated
also tell you that they're going to be wrong.
Yeah, well,
It
and
just
yeah.
depends how
It's in the
wrong
first
and
two
which
pages
side.
of their report.
Yeah.
All right.
Fancy.
Come every last page.
I've been
So-
kind of, been kind of quiet here, but, you know, my thoughts on this really is, you know, I want to help the employees as much as, you know, as we can, but, you know, the retirees, you know, when you're young, you can do things. When you get old, you can't do things. And that's what this pension was done. I mean, and you're gonna get tired of me hearing this, but half this pension was underfunded. Okay, for years and years. That hurt us right there. The 50%, the city put themselves with that goalpost, you know, the 30-year mortgage, basically. And, you know, I think it sounded good at the beginning, but it sure isn't at this time. You know, what I would like to see, I live in Fayette County. I'm a Fayette County, I was born here. You know, I understand, you know, I want to try to help the city, but I'm also getting phone calls from little people that are under the 40,000, you know, well, do I buy food or do I buy medicine or you know, or whatever, you know? And you know, and they're every month they're going further and further behind. So, you know, the other thing is that, you know, we in the early 80s increased our contribution rate to prepay our COLAs. And you guys are paying 12%, and as Todd Green said, he doesn't know another city or pension system that pays that much. So if, we're paying that much in there, hey, we should have a little better, maybe enhanced pension than like the state, which is, 20% funded but because they caused it, because they underfunded for and they're still underfunding it, and all that, so, we're paying, you guys are paying, and even I and Rock, when we were here, paid a lot of extra money to prepay our COLAs. Now, that being, saying that, I totally agree with Aaron when it comes with these calculations that we're getting from Todd, because they, especially like on buying time, I mean, it just does not make sense that your salaries have gone up significantly. I mean, yes, mortality's gone up a little, and it just keeps, it's costing, less to buy the same amount of time than when I was here. And I mean, we're talking not just a little, we're talking a substantial amount. And I agree that I am not Todd Green and I'm, a mathematical whiz, but common sense just tells me that just don't oughtn't, it just don't sound right. Now, we have had a discussion about possibly hiring a different actuary to see if there is a different, result in a lot of this. But, my position is gonna be, I wanna take care of the retirees. And when you take care of the retirees, you're taking care of everybody that's in this pension system. Because at some point, you're gonna retire. And, the pension system, if you look at the definition of it is, whatever it is, it's supposed to be taking care of the people that have worked here, okay? And we're not really doing that now. We were, but we're not. And, I can't control inflation. And there's no doubt that there's gonna be times, it's gonna be, there's no way the pension can handle it. I mean, back when, in the 80s, when I bought my first house, I was paying 18% interest on my house. But I think there is twofold. We can maybe enhance these ideas that we're discussing.
Well, let me ask you this though.
But we need to work with the city, and maybe we need to find out if we need to move the goalpost. We need to do move, or maybe do away with the goalpost altogether to lower the, what they're doing. 50% is a lot of money. I mean, technically, they're paying 1.5 times your salary every year. And, but yes, some of it probably was caused by previous administrations way down the road. And it's come back to bite us in the rear end here now. But
So what do you what's your suggestion then? Because it was my understanding that's the reason you were getting all this from the fire department and everybody. That's the whole reason
what
I
I
was
would,
pushing
I,
for.
you know, I would,
thought this
I,
is
you know,
what you were saying.
what I would
along.
like to see is whatever ideas you all decide you want to do. Whether it be the 2.5, if you want to change the disabilities, that doesn't affect me, because I'm gone. I'm retired. The only thing on here that really affects me is the cost of living, which, I firmly believe we got really screwed by the previous administration.
Here, here.
And, because we weren't even asked. The pension board was not even included in this. It was just done. And if we had probably looked into it a little bit further, it may not have looked as good then as it right now. But we're stuck with this mess. So, there's nothing wrong, I think, is if this committee wants to narrow it down to what we want to look at, send it to an actuary, and it doesn't have to be Todd possibly, we'll have to,
It
Well,
has
it
to
has
be
to be,
Todd. You
but
don't
we're on a
have choice.
contract.
Well, no, he has all of the data. You can't go and pick out an actuary and say, here, do an actuary, do
Well,
what
if
the
we,
cost analysis for
what would
something.
happen if we fired him because we're not looking, you know, I'm not
You
real
would
happy
have-
with Todd.
I will be blunt. You will have to go through an RFP. You will have to hire somebody.
Oh, yeah, I know.
That person will have to be a
Up to
year
speed.
or 2 years to get all of the data and understand this pension system before you could get something that you may not even like. So, but I mean, you can't go and pick somebody, some actuary, and do a cost analysis on our fund. Just doesn't work that way.
Aaron, is that something that finance can come up with number? I don't know how
No,
hard the
no,
process is, but
No,
if
it-
you all
no.
come up with any of those kinds of numbers, or is that, I don't.
no.
No,
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 they're
it-
not
no.
actuaries.
No, no.
It has to be done by an actuary.
Well, I
And-
just meant.
Well,
Yeah.
preliminary,
okay,
not-
all right,
not-
regardless, let's, you know, pass it, send it to him. You know, you know, he'll get it back to us in a couple of months or whatever.
He's, this time of year, he's doing actuary, so I will say that you may not get it back quicker than you think.
Well, and that's fine.
But we're not making any changes until next year.
You're right, we're looking at 2027.
But we can't send him 20 different,
Right, that's what I'm saying. We
scenarios.
need
It
to
has to
narrow it
be-
down to what we want to do. And, you know, and then, you know, we'll go to the, I'll go to the board and ask them for, you know, for the money to do it.
When is
I think
Todd
that
coming?
We've done that before.
I just got the city's actuary.
When
Friday.
are they coming? Do you know when they're?
They are
Scheduled
not
December?
scheduled until we get the actuary back. I'm hoping to get it back the first, since we got the cities back, which of course the cities is so easy. I'm anticipating to get it in November. He did ask me if we had talked anything about smoothing or moving the goalpost, because he thinks that he still feels strongly that we need to look at those options. So I should get the actuary hopefully in November. I think last year he came in January, honestly. Is my guess.
Well,
But he strongly still is pushing that we need to either initiate smoothing, move the goalpost, both of them, one of them, something to get the unfunded liability to a more manageable dollar amount. And also possibly, I mean, we've talked about where we lowered to 7%, but our fund is hitting 7.5%. That was a big hit for the
Sure.
city. You know, looking at possibly moving that back up to 7.5%. I mean, that's an option. I mean, we made that change during the experience study
mhm.
in 22. Thank you.
Yeah, they came and told us the sky was getting ready to fall.
Yeah, which of
It was
course.
in the middle of
It could,
COVID.
right?
You
Well, it
could've-
did in
yeah.
22.
Yeah, I mean, honestly,
Yeah.
it could have very well fallen, but lucky enough, it didn't. So, you know, moving it back to 7.5 might help a lot.
Well, it's gonna help, there's no ifs, ands, or
Yeah,
buts.
so I mean,
It's
there's
going-
things
it's
that
going
we
to help.
can do
Right,
to help the city and also be able to help fund some of the COLAs, you know.
absolutely. I'm willing to, I'm willing to do it, but I'm willing to do that.
We
But
just have to
personally,
this whole group has to be realistic.
right,
And that the main goal is to have this fund available in here for 50, 100 years down the road.
right.
Green Tea, I won't be here.
I will.
Good for you.
When you say
Yeah, the mayor came to me the other day and asked me if there was term limits.
when you say that he said
I don't
that
remember.
Todd said to get the unfunded liability to a more manageable number, is that is he talking about the total amount, or is he talking more about
Percentages.
in the last 5
Well,
years?
you've got
They're paying.
18 years to pay this off, I think, or
Right.
maybe
No.
the last actuary, it was 18 years.
2043.
Yep.
Right.
We're inching closer and closer to where the city is gonna have their unfunded liability, their percentage is gonna go extremely high.
10%,
us-
10% of the city's budget is already going.
Yeah, for us to
So-
meet that goal, and that's
Right.
ridiculous.
So he is saying that their projection is wrong. and we need to reevaluate?
Their projection is a time on one date.
Sure, but
So, yes, and it is a moving target. They do their estimate as of June 30th of whatever year.
And it depends on what,
And whatever happens during that year afterwards, they can only guess at.
right. And when was the last one done? Is it done every year?
We do
In 22?
actuaries every year.
every year.
We do experience studies every 5
Right.
years.
And it's bad or wrong since last year?
What do you mean?
That seems the new one, right? To compare.
We haven't done an experience
Since
study.
22?
Since 22,
Okay.
so we're due
So
in
something significant has
27.
changed since 22, is what he's saying? Because,
Well, back then when he did it in 2022, all things pointed to that we really needed to lower our expectation
Well,
of
and
our
and I also think that was at the beginning of the year, so like, that's when like the stock market really dived.
Yeah.
If I remember right.
Yeah, we were
Yes.
coming off of 20 and 21,
Yes,
which
Yeah.
were,
Yeah, during COVID.
Do you
it
have that,
was-
Ms. Hensley? Is that what you're-
I do.
I did not bring that.
This
Shut
giant,
up!
this
And again,
giant book of numbers.
Oh, you got no room to talk
Just,
there.
just so, like, you
No, no,
move
no, no.
any one of those into what would seem like a very incremental, nominal amount,
It's
like
huge.
mortality rate, like you could drop that thing by a couple of years, and all of a sudden the unfunded liability changes.
Well, that,
Hypothetically,
like COVID.
lots
We
of-
moved
affected mortality.
118 million by moving it, by moving down to the 7%.
Was it 7?
Overnight, we
As a
added
half a percent.
$118 million to the unfunded liability.
Which had to be funded over the remaining period.
Correct.
So keep in mind, 52% sounds like a lot, but I wanna go back to this point that we're just not connecting on. It's being expressed as a percent of payroll, but we use level dollar amortization. Dollars are the dollars. So the fewer people you have on payroll, whether it's fire, police, or anybody else, the higher the percentage has to be to get 50 million, 100 million, whatever the million is for that year in. So it is fundamentally false to say that not having people on the payroll doesn't affect the plan. That's just how pensions work, period. The reality is the city of Lexington has to write a check, but rather than writing a check, they reverse engineer it. And almost all pension systems do it this way, as a percent of payroll based on what the people earn. And it's essentially an accounting tool, but it's X amount of dollars every year. And then when the window starts to close, it's still that many dollars, but you only can divide it by 18 or 17 or 16 or 15. And that's the point of Mr. Green's concern, and the actuarial world has shifted. We went from completely open periods where we were never gonna close this down to this idea of being completely fixed. It's kinda like the porridge is too hot or too cold. We're trying to find a in-betwixt line. So, I don't.
And also, if I remember correctly, maybe it's just, I don't remember it, but it's always like, in the next couple of years, like, it's gonna be an increase, and then after like 3 years, you're gonna start seeing the decrease, and we never see that decrease.
Yeah.
So, like, that's one of the big problems.
Which, if we can loop all this is great. I'm gonna keep going here. Back to a little historian question. If we look at this and then we think about what would help on the city's side to breathe a little bit, I would say Miss Hensley's side, but she's claimed she's not gonna be here that amount of time. So,
I don't blame
but
her.
if-
Too many meetings like this.
whatever can cause them to have a little bit more room to breathe would maybe look like the smoothing or the layering, the things like that, those instruments that can be used in order to say, hey, we don't have to box this thing in like we've done, we can, and it's not kicking the can down the road further, it's just making it a more manageable thing that everybody can just relax on, right? Like, because right now it seems like a big pill to swallow, would you not agree? I mean, almost impossible.
That is what it looks like to me.
And if we would ask somebody to see what that would cost, again, Mr. Green, an actuary, would it cost to do something like that? It'd be handy if that didn't get turned into like, that's like the big bad wolf showed up and gave our money away to the city, so keep that in mind.
The return on market value assets the year before our experience study was negative 13.8. So that was what we had going into that experience study. So that was their third bullet point for us in their comments regarding our valuation. So then noted that our investment loss will be recognized over the next 4 years. 11.4 million loss in 2023, 8.7 loss in 24, 6.1 in 25, and $40.5 million loss in 26. So,
I forget, what was
don't know what the
John's
next
last
one will look like.
crystal ball about the economy? John, over there, did they give us a
John,
crystal?
What you mean, what our return was?
No, what are they projecting the economy is gonna be doing? Like,
It's, right now, the projection is, it's, you know, it's
Yeah.
gonna be going up. Now, whether it's gonna go up, it's still going, it's just gonna go up.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's gonna be
I couldn't
like what it's
really
doing. I mean, you know, right now, you know, the market is, it's, you know, screaming,
it's
you
up
know.
1% today.
Yeah. So you know, you know, for us as an invest, it's good. But there's a lot of people that did do that. A lot of retirees.
So, getting more to cutting to the chase, we've got the history, and I like how you're helping this along. Like, you know, and I mean, we're outlining what all we've seen, and I think that's probably what we actually needed. That I didn't realize that. Do you all have things that you would want to propose that be calculated? I mean, do you have things? I mean, you guys have done. It sounds like probably a little more surveying than we have. So.
Well,
So I'm trying to think of what exactly was.
you know, you know, you can put in a whole bunch of different things and see what it's gonna cost. And it may not be feasible, you know, or whatever.
Well, but like Susan said, we don't want to send, you know,
No,
a
we-
million
we
scenarios.
won't.
We can only send a
No, we're
couple.
talking, I mean, we're only talking about, the
estimate.
disability, we're talking about 20 in, 20 out, the 2 1/4, and the COLA. That's only 4 things.
Well,
And
but we got other ones on there too, like smoothing and layering, if we wanna send that, CEO.
Well, I agree. The 5th thing is, we need to talk to, what would be the best way of lowering what the city is paying? I mean, I'm not so sure that, you know, we shouldn't get, get away from the goalpost. You know, do away with that and just do it accurate each year.
I'm gonna
and
tell you,
go
like,
there.
I truly like having a goalpost. And nothing against, you know, the current administration, but I don't know what the next administration is gonna be like, right? Like, you know, it might turn out to be an administration like we've had in the past. I like having that final date as a
Well,
goalpost.
But I mean, you can go, instead of 18 years, you can go back to 25 or 30.
Yeah, I don't have a problem
Yeah.
moving the
I'm not-
goalpost,
I'm not-
but I'm
just
not
like
saying,
you're
like, I
refinancing a
want a
house.
goalpost.
But,
Yeah,
you know,
but I like the
thing that-
goalpost.
Yes, I want a goalpost.
I agree completely.
Well, the thing that scares me
That way,
about
if
the
somebody decides to
goalpost
sue, they have a
is,
goal.
is, you know, let's see, we get to year 28 or whatever, and you have we lose 13% and everything, and the city's gotta pay it up, you know, and, you know, it may end up being, you know, they may have to owe $200 million, you know, you know, at last
Well,
time.
you can
know?
implement both. You can actually
That's
move the
idea of
goalpost
That's the idea of the later.
Exactly.
and do the
Yeah.
smoothing.
Yes.
You can do
Yeah,
both.
you can do both.
Well, I'm not
Everything
against it,
learned.
I just wanna
Yeah.
see what it looks like.
Yeah.
You know, I need, you know, I would like to get him, you know,
I mean, he did a whole
try to explain it to me,
presentation.
to us, you know, what is the best route.
But sometimes, like,
Okay, where
it
you are.
doesn't, just moving the goalpost isn't gonna reduce it like we think, right? Like, you know,
Exactly.
say we add another, what, we got 18 years? So if we add another 18 years, like, it doesn't mean we're cutting payments in half, right? Like, 'cause
No.
you still have compounding on top of that,
Right,
so.
absolutely. But it gotta help some.
I mean, and I think he did a presentation on smoothing and
Yeah, we had a
what his
video
thoughts were.
on it.
Yeah.
Because that was
So, I
when,
mean,
that was in June,
it was recently.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was this year, I
it was
think.
this year for sure.
So, I mean,
I think it was June, because that's when we first started talking about smoothing and layer.
but I mean,
Like
we
in summer
keep talking in circles here. So, I mean, we keep talking about the same
Doing that for 2 years.
subjects, but we need to.
If I can, that's what happens at every one
I was
of these
gonna say, this
meetings.
is what we've been doing for the last
This is
3
why
years.
I know.
done.
Yeah, I agree.
We're just bringing Greg up to speed.
Yeah. Well,
So
he's up
we
to
do
speed.
things.
Let's
Yeah.
start-
I'm all
let's
caught
start
up now.
talking.
Yeah, this is
Yeah,
how we do it.
We
All right.
need,
Welcome to
start
the
the
last
meeting.
3 years.
we need,
Yeah.
how do you feel like
Same
you're
story.
gonna change, or what are you bringing to the table? What do you wanna look at? Not just talk about, oh, we need to look at COLAs. We need to know how you wanna look at COLA. What are you wanting?
A lot of these things have already been done.
Yeah,
that
like,
we're talking
we
about.
probably need to update them because it was in 23.
Yeah, the last one was in 20.
Yeah, so things have changed a little bit. But like for service retirements, are you looking at 20 years and leaving it 2 1/4? Or, and then you need to think about age. You're gonna throw the age in there. So we need, like, what do you want to look at in a sense? As opposed to
That's
just
what we need
saying,
to do, is get it down to what we want to, to look at, and keep it, as
I
few
mean,
as
bring
possible.
ideas to the table that are detailed.
Right, and that was where I
ideas.
was wanting to get from them as well, because I don't want to speak just for the police
Yes.
side of, hey, this is what they want. Because
Yeah.
we want everybody, what do you all value most, the 20 or the 2.5?
Depends on the number.
Or the, right,
Like, or
yeah.
a combination of the two.
Yeah, or that, yeah,
I mean, colas are always nice, like,
sure.
I would love to have a cola. Love to be able to give colas. Like, I'm just telling you, colas are expensive.
No,
And there's
I
never been a
understand.
solution. People walk in this room and like, we need colas, and that's where it stops. There's no solutions. There's no like research shown. Like, what's a normal cola that a pension system has?
Well, if you look at the average, it's about 3.3%.
Ooh,
Wow, really? That's the average pension cola?
No, the COLA, yeah.
for other
For
pension
For what?
systems.
For what?
This system, nobody here
For,
gets.
for what? Who's getting?
No, I mean, no, what the average, what we're getting now?
No, like other pension
Other
systems.
pensions,
What are other pension systems giving
Well,
their retirees?
we used to be tied to basically we tied ourselves to the CPI, which
Right.
I like doing anyway.
Okay.
And the CPI is over the last, I forgot, 25 years, it's like 3.3 or something like that.
Okay, that's what CPI is. What are other pensions giving as colas?
What other
The
pension
state is giving zero. They haven't given
Okay.
a pension in 11 years. I mean, COLA.
What about another? Do you have any other examples besides that?
Not off the top of my head, I can't.
Because I'm curious what other pension systems do. Like,
Well,
And like, I agree, we're separate, and we need to do what's best for our members, but if they're given a 4% COLA, like, maybe we can call them up and say, how are you paying for this? Right?
And it,
Yeah, because we could do that for 30 years and then we're insolvent too.
Well, and like, no, we went to a conference and, was talking to, was it Oklahoma that paid they paid like some ungodly percentage. Now, I'm gonna tell you I was drinking, but I was like, oh my God, how do you do it? He goes, we can't, that's why we had to change it like 2 years later, so.
now, all that being said, in efforts to expedite this and not just have social hour, when we came here today, I think the expectation was that you guys had done a lot of legwork, and that's very responsible, because I feel like we need a little bit more on our end probably to really narrow it down to say confidently, hey, this is what guys want, right? But we knew you guys did a survey, you had a PowerPoint, Tommy's been talking to firemen, all of this stuff. I guess we were kind of in hopes that you all had a proposal and that we were going to hear it out and then say, well, that seems like it's doable, it doesn't. And then in that case, we could take back to our membership, hey, this is what, the cops are a step ahead of us here in terms of surveying their membership. This is kind of what we want to look at. I think that's kind of what we're hoping for. But if you don't have that, then I think we need to start from ground zero and say, in some type of united way, say, we're going to survey everybody equally, and see what it is that they want. But I don't know that that works out good either, so.
I don't think it's a bad option. I mean,
I don't either.
because I think it includes everybody. And I know the PowerPoint, because you made, what were the options exactly, you remember? That went out to everybody?
It's what we ran before, so it would be the 20-year, the decrease in disability, and then the increase in COLAs.
What's the risk of offering something that we really have no
Well, not all- well, no,
ability to
yeah.
deliver?
No, not offering, just saying, hey,
I
are
mean,
you
because it kind of
interested?
sounds like if you put it out in a survey that you have some ability to deliver it.
Well, no,
That's
I mean,
at
that-
least how I would feel if
yeah,
somebody
well,
asked me
And unfortunately, that's.
how I think, what I think, and I tell them
Here it comes.
they
Yeah.
should be able to give it to me, right?
Well, and that was some of the confusion, because I got a lot of phone calls, and I had
Yeah.
to clarify with people, now, hang on, what they're asking is, if we were to look at it, what would you prefer us to look at? Because we can look at a series of things, and none of them may be
Yeah.
feasible, and we can't do it. That's just a reality of this, we just gotta communicate with them. We just gotta communicate with them, but,
For those of you who belong to the National Coalition of Public Employee Retirement System, you could look at this information. It says an average COLA was 2.2%, slightly higher than the 2.0% the year before. This information's out here. You guys, people got to take the effort to educate themselves. I know I'm not on the board, and so I offer limited input for a lot of these things, but the information is out there. We're spinning our wheels continuously. Now, if with the information that's out there, if it ends up being not feasible, that's a different story. But the information is out there, guys. Took me 10 seconds to figure that out. Our union pays for that. We have the access to it. I hope you guys do as well.
So what are some suggestions then? What do y'all,
So
What do
are
you
you
think?
wanting something today to send to Todd? Or what are you wanting?
Well,
no, not necessarily. I mean, because we don't know what your all side specifically, you know, what you all value most. I mean, because if fire department valued solely the multiplier over the years significantly, then obviously we wouldn't know that until we ask.
For us, it's a close wash. About going back to a 20 and keeping the same multiplier versus staying at 25 but with an increased multiplier to 2.5. Another option that we haven't talked to the membership about is maybe a combination of those two. Give people the chance to retire at 20 with a smaller, the 2.25, but at 25 maybe go to 2.5. It's all retroactive to 2.5.
So if you stick around the 25, then you,
Or the last 5 years turned into 2.5, or whatever.
Yeah, something.
Above 20, turns into 2.5, some hybrid model, right? And again, to echo Ms. Hensley's point, any chance that somebody could leave early is probably kind of scary. So keeping that minimum age at 50 helps combat that, in the hopes that some of this eligibility to retire early would combat some of the disabilities as well. So
Yeah, what did you all have as your retirement age?
I think we,
Said anywhere.
Oh, yeah, we left
be
it-
based
it was
between
vague.
45 and 50,
Yeah.
because that's the scenarios. I think we ran 47.
A couple different scenarios.
50 and 45 is the two scenarios for ages that we ran back in 23.
And what were the COLA spans we ran?
The what?
Remember, what were the COLA spans? I know one time we did the 13th check concept, another time we did something
The
else.
COLAs we did,
Tied to the CPA with a minimum 1%, maximum 5%.
Who did that?
that's their,
That's your.
you're talking about
That's
this
their
one that was
people.
done a couple years ago? Is that what you're
That's what we
asking?
ran.
No, man, no, sir. We never won. That's why I was a little confused when you said you ran the things that this pension board had on actuarially, because that's not accurate.
no, we increased everybody by 0.5% of one of the proposals. Second proposal was to increase the bottom to 50,000,
Take the tiers up.
take the tiers up. Third proposal was doing the tiers going up 50,000, and it was 2.5, 2, and 1.5.
Okay.
So we ran 3 different proposals is what we sent to the actuary in 23.
And then if I recall, when each individual piece comes back separate, but then they need to be decided upon in aggregate, because
Correct.
they go back and say, well, this might change somebody's behavior this way, so when you blend them,
Yes,
it
we
may not be
never
1 plus
blended
1
any of
equals
them.
2. Yeah.
Yes. You have to go back and pick each scenario in each area, and then we could do a blended. But we couldn't get to that point, so there was no blended.
So what does the committee want to do?
What's the proposal?
There's no proposal.
That's what I'm saying.
I would like to request that regardless of what scenarios we look at, when Todd is in town, that we have a half day with him set aside to sit down and look at all of this information. I'd like to go back in history. I'd like to look at the projections. I'd like to look at the different scenarios that he's already presented us. And really, for anybody else other than myself that would like to attend, or if it's just me, that's fine. I would like to have a better understanding of what he presents us, how they come to these calculations. Maybe if we sit down across the table and go over it enough.
And if you could send me specific questions, that way he's prepared, because he will come in doing the presentation for the current actuary, and if we wanna meet afterwards, I need for him to be prepared. So I need questions
Yeah.
of what you will be wanting, or anybody would want to
Yeah.
discuss, that way he could be prepared.
I was looking at 24, for example. Our rate of return is better than we expected. There's no major changes in mortality. We're about even on input and output as far as members. And yet where we were projected to be as far as contribution, we were projected to be at 52, and his note noted that we should have gone to 53.5. What made the difference? What would have made the difference? So those are the kind of questions I would be seeking to understand.
Okay, if you could just send me those, then I could forward them to him.
Yep.
So are you wanting, I'm assuming you're wanting to.
Yeah, I'm sitting here contemplating because I'm trying to think of what the best, if we have enough information to go ahead and at
Well-
least come up with a couple ideas of what we would want to send and see if it's something that.
What we're
So for
looking
instance,
at.
if we did a 20, if we asked them to run, what happens if we go to the 20, leave it at 2 1/4? Leave it at 25, but run it at 2 1/2. I mean, we'd have to decide what we want to do on the ages. I mean, if you're gonna go at 20, but leave it at 50 years old, that's kind of a high age too.
Probably we're
I wanna,
hiring up to
can I
40 now.
propose something?
Sure.
Yeah,
Please.
yeah, we're hiring 41.
Us two and you two get together at some point, we come up with a unified plan, we come back with a meeting.
I'm
And
on
that way,
board with that,
we
yeah.
don't have this big discussion. We can loop Tommy and Rock in when we start talking about COLAs or 13th check or whatever, however that goes. But that way,
Yeah, because we don't even know what
because
colors.
that way we'll be all on the same page. 'Cause part of
Mhm.
this problem is this committee has been divided. And we don't want to take a proposal to the board when the committee is divided that potentially has to go out to the unions for vote. Because we need the support of the unions if we're gonna make big changes like this. So that means we have to present it to the membership, theoretically, right, or potentially. We don't have to, I agree, but,
Thought I was missing something.
no, we don't have to, but it's the nice thing to do, right?
It's the
I'm not
appropriate
saying
thing.
no,
It
I'm
was the
just-
appropriate thing to do.
So, there, thank you, it's a better word. But that's been a big problem with this committee, is we cannot come to a consensus on something of this magnitude. The feeling is it needs to be a unanimous decision. That way we're a united front when we present it.
Yeah, because nobody's bringing ideas to the table. We're just talking in circles in regards to all the same subjects.
But it'd be, in my mind, an idea that we could have is, like, we could get together and then, like, we can come together as a subcommittee and then go to the board for a vote with our ideas. And then when Todd leaves, we tell him exactly what we want then. Like, that's when he can start running his numbers. Because unless we run it today, and even probably still then, we wouldn't get numbers when he's here in January.
Oh, no, no,
So,
if that early.
yeah.
Okay.
In a consensus, again, I've referenced your all's, survey. Did you have a lot of feedback on that, like legitimately? Cause I know, like, you put it out there to whatever your membership, right, and you get 40% of the people who actually respond, right? What did you guys come up with?
I think there were like 238 people that,
Yeah.
was all that responded. It was like 90+% that was in support. But then again, I mean, who's gonna say no?
Right, when you
yeah,
don't,
I mean,
you
it's
know.
Well, in support of what?
Exactly, and that was my problem, is the fact that I don't know what they were in support of.
And maybe one of the things we come up with is, some different surveys that we can send out to both police and fire to kind of, gauge their level of interest or tolerance of change.
Sure. Yeah, I'm completely on board with that, because like I said, I didn't have any background, because if this was shot down for a specific reason, then we can run it all over again, get the same results again, and then shoot it all down all over again. And there's,
$10,000 in waste.
so exactly, and I don't want to do that if there was some other reason why this never moved forward to begin with.
Nobody
So-
pulled the trigger.
Nobody pulled the trigger, and it was very divided in the level of support.
And I get that. I mean, who wants to make a change when, the fear of the unfunded liability
Well, and
being
like,
affected?
that
and
is
then-
an option, right? Like, doing nothing is an option.
Sure.
But our job is to be fiduciarily responsible to the pension. Like, I've joked that, we need to make sure that the pension is here 100 years from now, but we're hiring 18-year-olds, 20-year-olds. Them or their spouse could very likely live to 120 with medical advances. So,
All right. Well,
All right, so
What else is,
We're gonna,
So which-
you all are gonna get together, come up with some ideas, and then you're gonna,
you don't like that, sir?
Trey, don't
No, I'm
like
just
that.
gonna, I think, I don't know, I've got a lot of things that are being recorded, I shouldn't.
Well, I think for the benefit of everybody in this room,
Same
that would be
thing.
the best thing.
Yeah.
And they would probably appreciate it.
Yeah.
Well, a couple of things that I just can't bear to not say.
Here we go.
Having an unfunded
Sorry.
liability does not make you a bad person. We've all had mortgages, lots and lots and lots
Right.
of police and fire or pension funds have a much higher percentage unfunded liability than we do. Second thing is the police and fire departments are not going out of business. There's gonna be cops and firemen tomorrow and next month and next, they're gonna be paying into this. So I'm not saying that we're not wise to look at this, but unfunded liability does not have to leave saying it does not have to leave an acidic taste in your mouth. The other thing, Trey mentioned a 48% disability percentage of our retirees. And that is likely a very accurate number. However, if you retire with time and convert it to disability, you're not hurting us, you're taking advantage of tax implications. So that number is maybe very accurate, but it's not necessarily reflective of damage to the pension fund. Done.
Or reflective of core values either, but I might mention that.
And I don't disagree with you that having an unfunded liability is not a dirty word.
As-
Except
As long
for,
as there's not
the
a
KRS.
2043 looming in your future.
That's
Well,
right.
we didn't choose the
Absent,
KRS.
you are correct.
Nor did
Absent,
you.
Yes.
that is correct.
It got chosen by a previous administration without our informed.
Yeah.
Absent legislation that makes it horrendous.
So, all right, if we're finding good common ground to get a foothold in, I think we can all get down with that, with Rock's statement. Rock, way to rally everybody. But it's, I mean, yes, 100% funded is almost a pipe dream to some degree. I mean, at what point you close that in, right? And that's just.
Well, it could be 100% today, and we have a 2022, and then we're only 90% funded. You know, that's always gonna be there. You know, what was our worst, 2008? The 2008 was the worst year. I mean, we went down, what, 22%, 23%? You know, but we've made it back up and, you know, and made money.
Be nothing like less than $400 million.
Ew, I brought all the things.
Yeah, so, you know, it's,
So again, I'm glad that we're all on that, at least on that wavelength, you know, that there are things, and again, there are tools out there that can help the unfunded liability and help manage that. Again, give that breath of fresh air, right? And at that point, we can adjust things. So maybe that's where we need to get started.
Yeah, so
Giving that money away.
okay. So you all wanna
Say your
get,
name on the building.
my understanding is police and fire are gonna get together, okay?
Good, I'm sorry.
He's right.
And then at some point, I'm assuming you all will get with retirees,
Could have said no.
me and Rock, is that correct, later?
Could we just do all six of us at once?
Yeah, I could, I mean, I don't have a problem with it.
If we all met,
No,
Do we want-
because,
That's a
no, well,
quorum.
that's not a,
Do we
no, that's
want
not
to
a,
call
Can't have a
mission?
meeting.
that's not a quorum. Six isn't.
I'm just, it's easier to get four together.
Can we get together, not in a subcommittee meeting?
You wanna work
and
here?
talk?
Roger's here.
Is there a work group? Is there any prohibition against a number of us getting, is it like a council meeting?
Well, it's established subcommittee. I would recommend if a quorum of you are together and you're discussing committee business, you need to do it as a meeting.
Yep.
And it has to be recorded.
Well,
Yeah,
I
'cause
mean, you can get
that's-
together,
You're just gonna
Or
show the
just okay.
subcommittee.
because we're the only two on the subcommittee, so these,
Yeah.
You two are
Yeah.
volunteers.
well, I mean, they're coming too, they just don't know either.
They're volunteers.
Yeah.
They're voluntold.
No, you've got one fire, one police,
4.
2 commissioners, and me.
Rock's not on the subcommittee,
No,
nor
there's
is
only 4
Trey,
people.
nor.
Well,
Oh, there's five.
five.
There's
but-
5.
but- Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You've got 2 commissioners, 2 active police,
Director.
and a retiree, and an active fire.
Just move it.
So
Got
we
5.
can't do a work session at some point?
Okay.
So we can't do a work session? Can't call something?
You know, I
Mm.
would wanna have to look into it, I'm not gonna advise on that. I'd recommend if a quorum of you's getting together, maybe just, why
What
don't you
did we
just
have
set a
with the
meeting for
chiefs?
30 days out and have them come back with.
Yeah,
What did we call with the
that's
chief?
probably
What
gonna
did we
be
call with
further
the
than that, probably.
It was
Workshop.
a workshop.
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 We're
Oh, yeah, it's a
we're talking about
presentation.
25th.
Yes.
Okay.
We're not
Let's
talking,
have a presentation.
we're talking a year, and 14 months from now.
Is there anything else you were looking at for this session that needed to be addressed?
Well, you know, we've already, the election is definitely, we wanna do that.
They're already they're at the bottom. So
Yeah,
items previously approved, so both of those two have all been,
Yeah, these two have been approved by
have
the,
been
by the
moved
committee.
forward, and I've got the,
Session.
The one
No.
that's still pending is
No,
the
we're
health
gonna-
insurance,
We would
but
like to
Yeah,
do
was
this
that
all.
was?
it,
you
we're
were-
waiting
One.
on Linda, but
You start going down there
We've been waiting a long
piece, and
time.
they don't like doing that, you know what I mean?
mm-hmm.
We've
I
done
had
this
hoped she would
before,
be
and I
here
know how
today
that
to
works.
discuss it. I mean, that has
So,
been on the
I mean, you
list for
can,
over a
if you
year.
want,
You're
to,
so
you can
funny.
go ahead and write up, you know, the change in the
I
law
also
for these
had
two
hoped
right
she
here,
would be here.
so we can have it.
because
Okay, but those- the
that
board
was
had
what
moved-
we have
moved
asked
those
to
to this
have
session.
looked at.
We just still-
No, but we probably need
But
to
she
have it
needs to
done
get
so we
with
can
Benji.
present it to the board. And
Or maybe-
they can see
Benji's
what
already
the
been
law
brought
changes, so if
in,
you'll do
right?
these two.
Yeah, just wanted
we
Linda's
just
opinion.
work
And that'll be behind you, you know, we won't have to worry about
You
it
can.
again. Is that our
I mean,
By the way, I'm not gonna
So
be
the
at the meeting.
committee's
Oh,
approved
thanks.
those, and then you want to submit it to the board for
you know, I guess
consideration
we have to
with the
have
draft.
as long as the
It
board.
Right,
like,
and
Well,
we'll
anyway,
probably
just
do
when
it
it's
all
like,
at
hey, is
one
there anything
time.
good
She
for
can't
the?
say otherwise.
You know, to get ahead and just go ahead and get that behind you, so you don't have to do it, it's up to you, I mean, you know.
Yeah,
All right.
we just need somebody to ask.
I mean, I can reach out to Benji. I have a good relationship with Benji. I mean, I can go and talk to him.
I think Benji's already
Yeah.
commented, gave his comments. It was just checking with Linda to find out how she felt, if she had an opinion one way or the other on it. I think is where we are. Benji has already,
What are we discussing?
we're talking
Health
about the health
The health
insurance,
insurance.
Oh, okay.
being able to
Yeah,
waive it and come back in at a later date.
that'd be great for the retirees.
Yeah, Benji's thing was people would come back when they're sick,
Correct.
like when they're older and they're more
But
prone to
when they
illness.
come back as over 65, they go onto the
Yeah.
fully insured plan, so it's
Right.
not a part of
Yeah,
this.
but, well, that was his. if
Yeah,
I'm
that was one of
correctly.
his issues.
That was his only issue, wasn't it?
I don't know.
Okay, when do you all wanna have another meeting? How long is this gonna take, guys?
I don't know, yeah, I mean, I
I
don't
mean,
know,
you know,
depends on
you
what
wanna
your
do
all's
it-
availability is, we can start emailing
Well, when,
today and figure
are
out.
we wanting Todd to leave with the what we're asking him to calculate? I'm asking you, cause that's,
Yeah, I would like to, yeah, absolutely.
Well, here's the deal. You have to, this committee has to come up with the scenarios.
Right.
Then it has to go before the board. Tommy has to do a review
Right.
and ask for
yeah.
us to spend money. So,
So I'm saying like, if Todd's gonna be at the January meeting, then we can do that at the January meeting at the very latest. Like that's our,
yeah, I mean, I would still have to send him the email with the
I think
scenarios.
January would probably be too
you're gonna
soon.
be in Florida?
Well, yeah, I'm going, but I can fly back, I mean, you know,
Let's make them fly back.
$50 down, $50 back, and I'll charge it to the pension, you know.
Yeah.
Take it out of your COLA.
On with all that printer money?
Yeah, take it out of my,
Printer and Parker money.
what I'm being paid to be here.
I mean, I think the first, you all just need to get together and come
Yes,
up with.
you all need to get together,
Not anymore.
and then, you know, let me know
Together.
what you're all are coming up with, and then we'll set a meeting.
Well, then we also need COLA ideas. We just can't.
Well, that's what
No,
I say,
about
What the problem
colors.
is the three of us can't. Well, we can get together with Rock.
We can
Rock
talk
be
about
at
the
that meeting.
COLAs. Here's the difference, we're
He's
gonna
not
be
he's not on
retired.
subcommittee.
well, we could, yeah, I mean, if the four of us meet, at least talk about the service side of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then
Service,
the two
disabilities.
retirees can meet with either like one of us and,
Well, or we can get Rock in the meeting, volunteer.
or that, yeah.
Well,
At least, I mean, you have to throw in your
I
side
think
of
we're
the
pretty,
COLAs.
we've kinda got an idea,
Well, yeah, you like the CPI time.
Yeah, tie it to the CPI and 1 to 5.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm
but,
on board.
And
okay,
so-
when
You don't want
when
this
you're linking
pension
it to the
fund out with
CPI,
you,
you
do
need
you?
to be a little bit more detailed.
I wouldn't
Well,
be around to worry
What
about it.
CPI, what
He
month
wants to be around the
CPI?
bonfire.
What we, you know,
I mean, I know what we did in the past
right,
was we made a motion in June, set the COLA rate effective July 1st, use the April COLA, or use the
whatever
April.
it was whatever the last one was,
It was always April.
which was April, absolutely.
April, all items unadjusted 12 months in, release date was May 15th. So I think there should be more than one option on the COLAs. I mean, I think that we need to look at a couple of,
Oh, yeah.
don't give one and that's the only one we want, kind of thing. I think there should be a couple of options, and you need to be detailed if you link it to the CPI, how you're linking it to the CPI.
How does Todd calculate
Oh,
COLA?
yeah.
Do you know how he calculates the cost of
SWI, I think
COLA?
it's SWI.
No,
Because he should be. in
I don't
there.
have an
Rate
actual,
thing for
But you
January.
may have to-
I don't have an
Yeah,
actuarial
that's one of
degree,
those.
so I can't answer that one.
Well, you do a
But
lot of weird stuff, so.
You want to try math, you just go to the S's.
I do do a lot of weird stuff,
No need
but
to calculate now.
Hang on, I might have it
Huh?
in here.
It's easy
No need to
calculating.
calculate them now. 1, 1.5, 2.
Right, that's it.
That's all you need to know.
Good auction.
Well-
Try SW.
Only we knew an
Oh, there it is.
and whenever, you know, and also, when does it go into effect?
Oh,
I
I
mean,
know when.
now, it's, you know, it's set 1.5,
Well, it's probably
2, or 1, 1.5, and 2. If you go back to linking it to the CPI, then what month are you gonna give everybody a COLA?
Yeah.
Okay.
And you're gonna make some people mad.
Well, we can
Here's the
figure
deal, like,
it.
we're gonna
Be
make somebody,
prepared.
we're gonna
Those
make somebody
details
mad
could
every
be
time.
done, you know, but,
I mean, there's details that we're gonna have to give Todd on those things. For
I can
him
do
to be
that.
able to do that, so just, don't just say link to the CPI 1 to 5, I mean, it needs
well,
to
yeah,
be-
well, obviously you would do it, what, you know, probably the first, you know, like we used to do.
I mean,
years
I
ago.
looked up how we used to do it, so
Right.
I have,
And that's what I
That
was,
was done.
that's
When
what
is
my
the
plan.
CPI done at the end of the year?
Yeah.
Is there like a December CPI?
yeah, you won't get that until March.
Oh, okay.
There's one every month, sir.
But it's always behind.
Yeah, but it
It's
comes
like
out
2
fast.
months behind,
I was just thinking like if you just kept it in February, whatever CPI, that would, I
yeah,
don't know.
but
It-
I know
it-
previously we did the raises in
Aaron's
Just
ready to
keep
July.
what it
She's
is,
put up a
is
radio,
that
massive
the
board.
CPI comes out on the
There you
15th.
go.
Well, our
I have
pension
one
board
again.
meetings sometimes are full, you know, you know, and it usually was too much behind because they, you know,
Yeah, I understand.
yeah. So, that's why that was. Okay. All right. So we're gonna adjourn until we,
Meet again.
meet, till you all contact me and we'll set another meeting. Is that correct?
Yep, and I'll email you guys and we can figure out that.
Okay.
Okay.
FYI, November is not a good month.
No,
Nor is December, nor is January.
No, just November is really bad.
Well, the problem is
Yeah.
that like if you wanna do something next legislative session, like you gotta get numbers.
It's not happening next year.
I'm aware it's happening. But, you know, you gotta look at like 3 months to get numbers back from Todd.
We're looking at 28 now.
27.
do we,
Go on.
Aaron, do we wanna talk to Todd
Go
again
on.
about the time, buying a time?
Well, if he's gonna come in, we're gonna talk to him in January.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, it just doesn't,
But we're not having a lot of people buy ghost time anymore.
it's because they're
I mean-
retired.
Yeah, I mean,
'Cause once you hit the
everybody's
tw-
bought
Right
it.
here,
I
right
mean-
here.
And once you're on the 25-year plan, you can't buy.
Yeah.
You gotta buy in that little window.
You have
Only
that
if you're-
window.
Only military.
yeah,
And that's one thing that can't come back.
Right.
That is a money
but it
loser.
just,
Because it's a,
but like she said.
That's
a loser.
It's a money loser.
They're not buying the ghost time anymore.
I thought
Not
that,
according to the actuary.
I thought so,
If
the
it
money
was-
loser when I
if it
wrote my
was-
check.
Set at any number.
Not according to the
Accurate.
actuary.
It's cost neutral.
No,
Not.
not a chance.
Okay, all right. Anything else? Motion to adjourn?
I run them.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Ayes have it.
I wrote.